All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into a blueprint that seems to pop up in ancient traditions all over the world. But this isn't a map to some hidden treasure. It's a map to a potential that's dormant inside the human body itself. So let's jump right in.
Think about this for a second. What if all those incredible stories of gods, saviors, immortals weren't just myths? What if they were actually metaphors, a kind of user's guide for a profound physiological process? A kind of spiritual technology, really, that uses our own anatomy to unlock these extraordinary states of being. That's the wild idea we're exploring today.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We're going to follow this whole alchemical journey in 5 parts. We'll start with this dormant seed of power, follow its journey up a river of life, see this incredible transformation happen in the brain, actually measure the symphony of that change, and finally get to a completely new kind of birth. Okay, so our journey kicks off at the very foundation of our physiology, down in the deep, quiet potential that all of these traditions insist we have. It's this raw, unrefined substance that holds the key to literally everything that comes next.
You know what's absolutely fascinating here is how all these different cultures, separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, all point to the exact same idea. In yogic traditions, they call it Kundalini, Shakti, this coiled serpent of cosmic energy just waiting at the base of the spine. The Taoists call it Jing, which is like our fundamental genetic and vital essence. And then in Western esotericism, you see it called the prima materia, the raw stuff of alchemy, or even the Christ seed, a sacred oil symbolizing our hidden potential. Different names, different metaphors, but they're all describing the same thing, a powerful life force, just waiting for us to wake it up.
So, great, you have this dormant power. How in the world do you actually awaken it? Well, the next stage is all about one thing: movement. This is where that latent seed begins its journey, flowing up from the base of the body, heading for the brain, through a channel that is both physical and energetic. In Taoist practice, this is called the microcosmic orbit. And here's the basic idea. You start by using this deep, focused abdominal breathing to gather your vital energy, or qi, in a spot just below your navel called the lower dantian. Then, you consciously guide that energy up your spine, past a key point called the Mingmen, all the way over your head and then back down the front of your body. The whole point is to create this self-sustaining loop. It's not just a visualization, it's a very real way to circulate and supercharge your own life force.
And if you're thinking this all sounds a bit out there, check this out. This is where the esoteric meets the physical. A biomedical engineer named Itzhak Bentov described what he called the physio-kundalini reflex. He figured out that deep meditation creates vibrations that stimulate this loop of current in the brain. And what does that feel like? Well, the quote says it all. Tingling sensations that literally rise up the body, mirroring the exact path of the microcosmic orbit. It's a modern, scientific description of an ancient spiritual event. Pretty wild, right?
So all this energy is traveling up the spine, but where's it going? It's heading for the final destination, the brain. Some traditions call it the throne room, or the Most High, because it's here, inside the crucible of our own skull, that the most profound alchemical transformation is supposed to take place.
Now, at the heart of this entire process is something you might have heard of in biology class, cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF. Biologically, yeah, it's our brain's shock absorber and support system. But in these esoteric maps, it's so much more. It's the sacred river, the holy oil. It's the actual physical liquid that carries this refined energy. The idea is that the circulation from the microcosmic orbit actually potentizes this fluid, getting it ready to anoint the brain.
And right in the center of the brain, we find what some traditions called the promised land of milk and honey. And they mean that literally. They're talking about the pineal and pituitary glands. Esoterically, the pineal gland is said to produce the milk, and it's linked to that single eye of spiritual vision. The pituitary, on the other hand, produces the honey. And according to these teachings, when the secretions from these two glands combine with that sacred oil coming up the spine, it triggers full-blown illumination.
And this is where the parallels become absolutely stunning. Some traditions interpret the entire Christ story as a physiological map. The Christos, or the sacred oil, is bored in the brain, it descends the River Jordan of the spine, and it rests in the tomb of the solar plexus. Now, if that oil is preserved, it ascends back up to the brain, and there, at Golgotha, which means the place of the skull, it's crucified. But in this reading, crucifixion isn't about death, it's about a radical amplification of power, an event that completely illuminates the entire nervous system.
So we have these incredible symbolic maps of a process happening inside us. But what does it actually look like from the outside? Can we measure it? With technology? Turns out we can. To find out, we just have to look at modern neuroscience, where researchers are finding the unique brainwave signatures of these exact states.
So, when scientists study advanced meditators, they discover brainwave frequencies that are way, way outside of our normal waking consciousness. I mean, on the high end, you get these crazy fast gamma, hypergamma, and even lambda waves. We're talking up to 200 hertz, which are linked to these states of ecstatic oneness and massive aha moments. And then, on the complete opposite end, you find these super slow epsilon waves, which are actually slower than deep sleep and are linked to states of profound spiritual insight.
And here's the crucial point. It's this beautiful paradox. The highest states of consciousness aren't just one or the other. They call it a circular link, where the fastest, most ecstatic lambda waves are literally found riding on top of the slowest, most deeply still epsilon waves. So just imagine that. The deepest possible stillness gives birth to the highest possible awareness. It's a brain in a state of perfect, unified wholeness.
So where has all this been leading? What's the whole point of this entire process? This brings us to the final, culminating stage of the journey. And across all these different traditions, the goal is described as a kind of birth. Not the birth of a child, but the birth of a new, refined, and eternal self.
In Taoism, they have a name for this. It's called the Singtai, or sacred embryo. And that metaphor is so powerful. The practitioner is basically using their own body as a womb to gestate a new spiritual body. The goal isn't just a temporary feeling of bliss, but the creation of an elixir, a form of consciousness so pure that it's no longer limited by the physical body. And this inner pregnancy, it even follows a symbolic 10-month timeline. It all starts by refining that raw biological essence, the Jing, into pure energy, or qi. Then that qi is circulated over and over, refining it even further into what's called Shen, pure spirit or luminous awareness. And finally, in the last stage, that radiant spirit condenses into the golden elixir. The sacred embryo is now complete.
The final step is described in this really cool, deeply symbolic language, like the intercourse of the dragon and tiger. But these are just alchemical codes for the perfect union of the body's core energies, its yin and yang. And the result? The creation of a spirit body, a being of pure consciousness that has, for all intents and purposes, achieved a kind of immortality by transcending its original mortal shell.
This quote just nails the essence of that final transformation. The goal is to shuck off the mortal body, so that the true body, that newly birthed sacred embryo, can ascend. It's a complete rebirth, right? It's like graduating from one state of being to another, infinitely higher one.
So, at the end of all this, we're left with a massive question. Are all these seemingly separate paths, yogic awakening, Taoist alchemy, Christian mysticism, are they all pointing to the exact same place? Are they describing not just a path to some fleeting enlightenment, but a dormant biological blueprint for the next stage of human evolution, a potential that's waiting to be activated inside every single one of us? The map is there. The real question is, who's going to follow it?